is the 14th of April 2020 and day 29 of my self-isolation. It's pretty sunny today, but a bit chillier. Had a fairly leisurely start to the day, did a bit of reading, had lunch, and then Suzanne said she wanted to go for a walk to Tesco's, not to go into the shop, but to recycle our recyclable plastic. So, as I believe I'm allowed out within reason, I said I'd go as well. Went for a walk. Got to Tesco's, keeping our social distance. I was keeping my social distance from Suzanne, from anybody else. She did choose a very eccentric route. And after a while, I started getting hot. It was hot by the time I came back. Anyway, there we are. And that's pretty much the sum of what I've done today. I've watched a Taskmaster, which is always good fun. Yes, not very productive day. Anyway, it occurred to me that I didn't really explain everything about this and its connection with this that some of you may not know. Well, there was a connection, and the album was influential in the making of that guitar. In that, the guitarist from Wishbone Ash, Andy Powell, who wrote to my friend, always played the Flying V, and I believe he still does. And I also believe that he made his own at the very beginning. Anyway, there we go. Also, what I didn't tell you was the when and where. So hopefully you got the gist of it. Was when I was a youngster. The question is just how young. The where I can tell you about. Right, so much of it was done in my school friend Bob Micklejohn's garden. He lived in, I think you'd call it Laleham. It's almost Chertsey, but it's on the Laleham side of the River Thames. And they had a very nice house, architect designed. It was like new then, so we're talking about early 70s. When you came out of the house, there was a big green common, and then the River Thames. I mean, they're not on the banks of the River Thames, but you couldn't get a lot closer. It was a very nice position, very nice indeed. And I remember a sunny summer, and making it in his garden, using something like a Black & Decker workmate, using his dad's plane. I used my dad's blunt chisels. Didn't have many tools. Used a saw, a plane, chisels, a fret saw, and that's about it. I mean, it was really, really. Anyway, Bob was all. What kind of led to this was that my friend Bob had left school and gone to art college, and as part of his coursework, he decided to make a guitar, and he was making this. I mean, Bob didn't know anything about. He knew less about guitar than I did. He was more arty, and he made this guitar in name, the body of which looked like a leaf, and then you had the neck, and then the headstock looked like another leaf. And I went to this show of his coursework eventually, and he presented it in a kind of a jungly sort of setting, with this thing kind of growing, out of the floor. I hope he did well. I don't know if he did. Anyway, while he was doing that, I thought I'd make a slightly more conventional one. Now, as for what age I was, there's a question. 17, 18 or 19, I reckon. So I'd have been 17 in 1972, 1873, 1974. It's one of those. It's one of those. Anyway, there we are. There we are. And something else I forgot to tell you was that I've got a sneaking suspicion that I put the truss rod in upside down. Ah dear. And that, I was a great believer in using araldite to stick things together. So the fretboard will never come off unless I plane it off, rip the frets out, which I may have glued in as well, and then plane it off, and then I'd find out whether the truss rod was in upside down. I don't know. Can't remember. Anyway, another thing about it was quite interesting, was that in Chertsey there was a Watkins factory. Watkins as in W-E-M, which was the Wilson brothers, Charlie and the other one. And I took along the bits of wood that comprised the neck, and I did them in a kind of a staggered style, 2 bits and then 1 bit lower down, so that I could just drop the truss rod in. And I walked in, and it had a shop at the front of it. A shop which was quite good because you could buy seconds and things like that. I bought a second Watkins rapier neck, which was very cheap. And I walked in this shop, and I was greeted by this bloke, and he listened to my tale of what I was doing, and said, could he just borrow the bits of wood for a second? And he took them out the back, and then he brought them back, and he'd squared everything off, and it got it all planed up for me, all ready to glue together. What a diamond. And I always wondered whether it was actually one of the Wilson brothers. It would be lovely to think it was. Anyway, there we go. That's the end of my tale of the Flying V. Okay, I think we move on to historical record time. Okay. Well, there's been a sharp rise, more than 6,000, in the number of deaths for this time of year. And 1 in 5 deaths in England and Wales are linked to coronavirus. There have been 778 deaths in hospitals in the last 24 hours, and a total of 12,107. But that's not including care homes, which they are beginning to sort of try and keep account of now. And the government has issued these guidelines telling care homes that they should take people that are being discharged from hospital who have not been tested and who may have coronavirus. And the care homes are beginning to kick back and saying, no, we're not doing it. We're not introducing coronavirus into this ecosystem of vulnerable people where it might just sweep through them and just cause loads of them to die. And you can't really blame them. Yeah, Charity Age UK says COVID-19 is spreading like wildfire in care homes. Meanwhile, there's been various announcements about the economy and how it's going to affect the economy, and they're talking about how it could, Britain's economy could shrink by 35% in a year, and the Chancellor has said he's deeply troubled by this, and they've said there could be 2 million extra unemployed. Whoopie-doo. Whoopie-doo. Okay. I think I mentioned before that I posed this question about what was my first gig, and my friend Dave has come back to me and said that he reckons it was going to a free concert in Hyde Park, and I specifically went to see Humble Pie. But the lineup was Heads, Hands and Feet, Humble Pie, and Grand Funk Railroad. I wasn't too bothered about Grand Funk Railroad. Humble Pie is why I was there. Anyway, I reckon that that one should have been number 11 on my influential albums, and I'm going to put this one as number 12 out of 10 influential albums. Graham Parker and the Rumour, Heat Treatment. This would have been around about, I think it's around about 78. Can't see it on there, but I think it is about then. And yeah, it would have been a contender along with the Elvis Costello one that I put up, which kind of redirected what sort of music I was listening to. Anyway, I think that's it for now. It's another long one, so I'm going to say bye-bye. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.